Hello, students. I am here to discuss understanding heat transfer by the three methods of conduction, convection, and radiation. But first, what is heat? Heat is the movement of thermal energy from a substance at a higher temperature to another at a lower temperature. Is heat the same as temperature? No, they are not. Heat is the actual energy, and temperature is the measure of average kinetic energy of particles in a substance. So the basic difference is temperature, you're actually measuring the amount of particles moving in a substance, whereas heat is just the actual energy. Heat always moves from a warmer place to a cooler place. Example, you have ice, and then it goes into your hot hand, it melts. Then you have a warmer object going into a cooler object. The three methods of heat transfer are conduction, convection, and radiation. Conduction. Conduction is the transfer of heat by direct contact. Objects are touching. Example would be cooking or lighting a candle or stirring coffee in a cup. When you heat a metal strip at one end, the heat travels to the other end. As you heat the metal, the particles vibrate, the vibrations make the adjacent particles vibrate, and so on and so on. The vibrations are passed along the metal, and so is the heat. And this is the metal this is what we call conduction. Now, metals are different. The outer electrons of metal atoms drift and are free to move. When a metal is heated, the sea of electrons gain kinetic energy and transfers it throughout the metal. Insulators such as wood and plastic do not have the sea of electrons, which is why they do not conduct heat as well as metals. Convection is the heat transfer of hot air rising and cold air sinking. It's a circular motion of heat. Convection is the primary way the heat moves through gases and liquids, but it cannot happen in metals, or does not happen in metals. Okay, example. Cool water sinks, hot air rises when you're boiling something in a container. Another example would be a hot air balloon. You have your cool versus your hot. When you're dealing with a refrigerator, you have your hot radiator, your warm air is rising, then you have a cold window, then you have your cool air falling. And that's sort of the process that refrigerators have. What happens to the particles in a liquid or a gas when you heat them? The particles spread out and become less dense. And the last method of heat transfer I'm going to talk about is radiation, which is probably the most familiar one. How does heat energy get from the sun to the earth? There are no particles between the sun and the earth, so it cannot travel by conduction or convection, so it has to be radiation. Radiation is the transfer of